to yet another thrilling episode of Zee Connect, where we bring to you the most exclusive stories, events, guests, and recipes. Before we get started, let me wish all our viewers a very, very happy Onam. Let's begin with our guest for today. Presenting the nation in beauty pageants to over 100 films spanning over 4 decades, from Amitabh Bachchan to Shah Rukh and Amir Khan, from Sanjay Khan to Suraj Barjatia, dancing, acting, singing, she has done it all. It's the legendary Kalpana Iyer. Kalpana ji, thank you so much for joining us here today. Welcome to Zee Connect.
Thank you for inviting me. I mean, I'm quite excited actually.
We are super excited to be talking to you. तो कहाँ से शुरू करूँ मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, लेकिन आपकी जर्नी में थोड़ा सा काफ़ी पीछे चले जाते हैं, बिकॉज बहुत लंबी और बहुत सक्सेसफुल जर्नी रही है. सो इन अ जिस्ट इफ यू कुड टेल अस अबाउट योर जर्नी एंड मे बी अबाउट योर ट्रिस्ट विद मिस इंडिया पैजेंट.
It's a very, very long story. I started dancing when I was a kid. I'm not trained in anything. I've never been like कोई भरतनाट्यम या कोई कथक, कुछ भी नहीं सीखा है मैंने. And I started dancing for fun. And ऐसे ही मुझे लोग बोलते थे कि चलो इसको तैयार कर दो. And I used to just get ready. They would take me to this Ganesh pandals and all and say stage पे चढ़ जाओ. And I used to go up on stage and I used to dance. And people used to say that बहुत अच्छा डांस करती है. Let us take her more. As in, they used to take me to people who mattered. And during the course of that dancing period in school, at some point, Mukesh ji's friend, the singer, late Mukesh Chand Mathur, his friend saw me in a show in school.
Okay.
And spoke to him about me. And as luck would have it, he was a guest in one of our shows. And then he spoke to my parents that will she work with us? And that was a very big break. So he took me on and I started dancing in his shows. And my first trip abroad as a young girl was to America in 1973. Then once we came back, then he took me to Manali, Manada, Kishore Dada, all these people, Rafi Saab, everybody. And I started doing shows with everybody. That continued. And I went on to win a couple of beauty contests. During that period, I was Miss India. And when I came back to India, I participated in a lot of fashion shows and I started moving around in fashion circles and started doing lots of ads. Again, I represented India in the Miss World in 1978. And then when I came back to India, my mother told me that Rashtriya people had contacted her for me to be working in a film called Manokamna. And the film starred Raj Kiran. I was the romantic lead. And because it was a Rajshri film, there's really no way on earth I needed to say no. I would have said no, no way. I did the film. And during the course of shooting for Manokamna, Dev Saab saw me. And he contacted me for a film called Lootmar, which he was shooting at that point of time. And he said, मेरी पिक्चर में डांस करोगी? मैं पागल हूँ जो मैं मिस्टर देवानंद को ना बोलूँगी. तो मुझे सब लोगों ने मना किया, सभी ने मना किया कि यहाँ पे तुम हीरोइन का काम कर रही हो और वहाँ तुम डांसर का कैसे हाँ बोल रही हो. एंड आई सेड कि ये भी तो मैंने तय नहीं किया था. करेक्ट. ये भी तो अपने आप ही आया ना. तो फिर उस चीज़ को मैं क्यों मना करूँ. सो इट वाज अ रिस्क. आई टुक इट. एंड ऑन द सेट्स ऑफ लूटमार, ऑन द फर्स्ट डे आई साइंड कुदरत. ऑन द सेकेंड डे आई साइंड प्यारा दुश्मन. ऑन द थर्ड डे आई साइंड बम्बई का महाराजा. ऑन द फोर्थ डे आई साइंड साजन की सहेली. This was the beginning of my career.
In a row, one after another.
One after the other. And the same set, the same song within a week. Yeah. And by the time Lotma released and by the time Anukamna released, Hari Om Hari already released, and what have you and what have you. And that's it. That's my story.
Wow.
That's a quick
that's a quick summary of it, but I know there's a lot behind it all. ये जो
आजकल के ज़माने के लोग ये लोग बोलेंगे squeezed story.
But उसमें भी काफ़ी कुछ है. I mean, there's so much inspiration to take from your story.
I'm very blessed, beta. Extremely blessed. As in, I didn't know anybody. कोई contacts नहीं. I had absolutely no guidance. कोई godfather नहीं, कुछ नहीं. I don't come from a filmy background. All classical people in my family. But again, his blessings. I always say this.
That's wonderful. I mean, yes, of course, you say that you were fortunate, you were blessed to be at the right place at the right time, and these opportunities just came one after another. But आपकी मेहनत भी थी, बहुत मेहनत थी.
बहुत मेहनत. I don't remember me ever telling I'm tired. I don't remember me ever telling कि shift खत्म हो गया, अब जाएं. मैंने कभी किसी को मतलब wait नहीं कराया. मैं बहुत punctual हूँ. And अगर 9 बजे shooting का time दिया जाता था, मैं 9 बजे आपको with makeup, with costume पहले shot के लिए ready मिलूंगी. As a matter of fact, there was a film I did called Satte Pe Satta, and उसकी shooting हमने Mazagon Dock में की थी. And उसका वहाँ पे हमको पहुँचना पड़ता था in the docks at 5 in the morning for a 7 o'clock shift because we had to take a ferry, a boat. And I remember it so distinctly that there was never a time when Mr. Amitabh Bachchan or me were ever late from Warsaw to Mazagon Dock. We were there at 5 in the morning, ready to shoot at 7. Because वहाँ पे पहुँचने के बाद सब लोग इकट्ठा होंगे फिर जाएंगे ना शूटिंग के लिए. तो हम वहाँ पे होते थे. And if I take pride in my timing, I salute him for his. He was also very punctual, very. But whether it is Hari Om Hari, whether it is कोई यहाँ नाचे नाचे, or कोई it is तू मुझे जान से भी प्यारा है, or it is Ramba हो, or my very first song तुम्हारा प्यार चाहिए मुझे जीने के लिए. These are all अपनी अपनी जगह पे. These are all iconic, lovely songs. Like I say ना, मैं जितनी बार बोलूँ, जितनी बार मैं ये कहूँ, कम ही है. I'm blessed, blessed and blessed. I've had some wonderful music. I've had wonderful dance directors. I've had excellent co-stars. And mercifully, I was there in the industry at the right place at the right time. Like Helen G had decided to move out slowly. She was lessening her work. As a matter of fact, it's a coincidence. She was busy shooting her last song in Mehboob. And I was shooting my first song in Mehboob. The year is 1979 and I will never forget it. Never forget it. Because I really, really, really adore her. I think she's like, wow. But unka zamana alag, mera zamana alag, aaj ka zamana alag.
I mean, people will always remember you for your work, for your nature, for the things you have said, you have taught us and taught everyone. May you keep having a very lovely, colorful life even ahead and for many, many, many more years to come. Wish you a great life. Thank you so much, Kalpana ji. It's been wonderful talking to you. I can't even tell you. I mean, it's very clear, I'm sure, from my expressions and whatever I'm saying. Thank you for this really amazing, inspiring conversation.
You know, before I go, I need to say something. Zee has meant the world to me in more ways than one. Some of my best serials have been on Zee. Some of my best experiences have been with Zee. And it should be said that after so many years an interview is happening, it's happening on Zee. And this is a first. And I truly, truly, truly wish you all the best.
Life comes a full circle, as they say.
Full circle. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. Time for a really short break. We're going to be back soon with lots more.
Hello and swagat hai aap sabka. I am Tasneem and so today I'm going to be making Kabuli Pulao. Of course, Kabuli Pulao is a very simple recipe, still full of flavor. Since it's a basic dish, we could pair it with a raita. So I'm going to be doing a raita which is Bengan based. But the best thing is that raita itself can be a dish on its own. So let's start with the pulao and then we'll move on to the raita. And let's get the pan on. So we're going to go in with a little olive oil. Make sure your oil is nice and heated. Let's go in with the onions. Here I have used 2 red onions, medium sized. Okay, so we've got our onions nice and sauteed. I'm going to go in next with the chicken. Here I have used 1 kg of chicken. Let's give it a nice toss. We want all the chicken coated really nicely in that onion. So now that we have the chicken slightly browning, and that is exactly the right time to put the carrots in. So I have carrots here, julienne. I have used 2 full carrots. Carrots have softened like you see here, just slightly. So let's add the water in now. Now what I'm going to do is add my rice. What I've done with the rice here is that I have soaked it for about 1 hour. So I'm going to put the rice in now and you can see I'm not using the water of the rice. Now what you want to do is really slowly put the rice in, because you want to make sure the rice stays on the top. An entire lasan that goes right in, the entire thing, and it will have a tendency of coming up, so make sure you just press it down. And once we're done with that, we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of raisins. I am using golden raisins, the small ones. And finally, sea salt. Now you want to season it up really well. So now that we have everything in here, I'm going to let it cook for about an hour, hour and a half, or until the water has dried out. Okay, so now we're going to start making the raita. It's not exactly a raita, it's called borani, and it's made with bengan. So now what you want to do is have your bengan sliced, filling a bowl full of olive oil, and then I just take each one and I dunk it in. And then I can squeeze any extra, because bengan is literally like a sponge. So it'll really soak it up and then it'll cook evenly. So onto the baking tray it goes. Okay, so here are the bengan laid out perfectly. Last step that we're gonna do is sprinkle some salt and pepper. And some pepper. Now you could just do that, but it's too risky with pepper. You don't want it to be too spicy. We're going to put this in the oven now for about 20 minutes or until you just see that they're ready and cooked. And don't forget to flip them midway. Okay, so the bengan is now in the oven at 180 degrees centigrade. Make sure to flip them midway. Keep checking on them after every 7 or 10 minutes, because you don't want to burn them, and they burn very quickly. Okay, so now let's start with the second part of the recipe, which is going to be the gravy that the bengan is going to cook in once it's ready. So let's get the pan on. I'm going to get a little bit of olive oil in. About 1 tablespoon. Diced onions. I have used 1 medium red onion. We're going to add our garlic right into the pan. I've used 2 cloves here. And stir. Okay, so as you can see here, before the onion starts browning, it's just translucent. We're going to add the tomatoes now. Here I have used 3 medium to large tomatoes. So to make the tomatoes cook faster, you can actually add salt to them. So we're going to add salt now. The rest of the spices come later. And give it a nice mix so the tomatoes cook fast. So you could either mash your tomatoes down once they're a little softer with your ladle, or you could actually use a potato smasher and just go smash, smash, smash. Now that you can see our tomatoes have mashed really well. So now we're going to go in with the masalas. Here I have pepper powder. I'm taking about half a teaspoon or maybe even a little less. Depends on how spicy you'd like it. Next, we go in with haldi. Here I'm going to use about 3/4 of a teaspoon. Next, we put dhania powder. So I'm going to put a nice helping. So 1 teaspoon and about 1/4 more. I'm going to mix this in, and we're going to give the spices time to just heat up, release all their flavors really well. Now the next ingredient, not too important because preservatives, but if you'd like, if you're expecting guests, this is going to be a massive flavor booster. So I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon of tomato puree. So now that we have everything well combined, we're going to put it together. So here we have our bengan. You can see they've cooked nice and thoroughly. In fact, if you are a fan of bengan, this is a great snack on its own. You can pack it, take it on road trips instead of having chips. We're going to add all of them in. Okay, so as you can see, we fried it for about a minute. It's nice and coated, well mixed. So we're going to put our stove off. Final step, which is the dahi on top. So we have to make sure that we whisk the dahi in really well, because we want a nice creamy texture on top and no chunks here and there. So we're going to start with whisking it until we have a nice creamy consistency. Now that we have this consistency, as you can see, we are going to go in and add some mint. So here I've taken mint worth 3 sprigs, and I've really nicely chopped it up because we really want that fresh flavor to come through. And let's mix everything to incorporate it nice and well. Now one thing that I personally absolutely love about the dahi is putting garlic in there. So I have just 1 clove here. I'm going to microplane it again. But of course, you can feel free to use a little more if you like. And we're finally going to go in with a little sea salt again. Now this time we want to make sure the sea salt is not too much, because we have seasoned the rest of our ingredients from the brinjal to the gravy really well. So we're just going to season it lightly so that it doesn't kind of come out just absolutely bland. And we just give it one last mix. And we're ready to put the dish together. Now I'm just gonna take the bangan out, put it on a platter. Look at those colors and those fragrances, all of it put together. Delicious. And now for the last bit, we are going in with the yogurt on top. I love the colors that just peek out, nice and red, and like the purple from the aubergines coming through. And then there's white with the green mint leaves. It looks as good as it tastes as well. And there we have it. That is our bangan bhurta, raita, burani, whatever you like calling it. It is a dish in itself, but we have pulao to go with it. So let's get the pulao out. Now we're ready with the pulao, nice and steamy. Remember how I'd mentioned you dig all the way through because the chicken is at the bottom and then you have the rice. And there goes our final leg piece, my favorite. Our favorite, I think everyone's favorite. And there we have it. So here is our Kabuli Pulao, and with it we have our Bangan Burani. I hope you enjoyed this episode, a very traditional twist on healthy food, which is rare because most of our traditional food is either too oily or too spicy, but I hope this turns out really good. Try it and I'll see you next time. For the Kabuli Pulao, put some olive oil into the pan, and once it's sufficiently heated, add 2 thinly sliced red onions. Add the chicken next. 1 kg of chicken, bone in. Make sure the raw water of the chicken has dried out. Once the water is dried out, add your carrots and cook for another 5 minutes. Next, add enough water to submerge the chicken so that we can come up with homemade broth in which the rice will cook. Add your rice slowly so that we can layer the chicken and the rice. Add 1 whole garlic bulb, no peeling required. About 2 tablespoons of raisins, sea salt. Let this cook for between 1 and 2 hours. Once you see the water has dried out, your pulao is ready. For the bangan raita, cut your bangan into 1-inch thick slices. Dip them well in olive oil and season with salt and pepper. Bake them at 180 degrees centigrade for about 25 minutes. Don't forget to flip them midway. For the gravy, add some oil into a wok. Add 1 medium onion minced and 2 garlic cloves grated. Then add about 3 to 4 medium tomatoes diced. Mash the tomatoes down and use some water if you need help with it. Then add 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder, 2 to 3 teaspoons of coriander powder, pepper powder to taste. Lastly, add the bangan into the gravy and cook for another 5 minutes to bring it all together. Let's move on to the third part, which is the yogurt. In yogurt, add 2 grated garlic cloves and chopped mint leaves from 3 sprigs. Mix the yogurt well, making sure it becomes a nice creamy consistency. Plate that and top with the yogurt. Enjoy!
We're going to be back soon with lots more. Well, it's the Onam special episode, so we are serving you the very special Onam Sadhya that's going to be prepared by our guest, Preetha Shankar. That delicious Onam Sadhya, we are going to be talking to Preetha all about her life in profession versus passion. Preetha, that was a delicious, a very scrumptious Onam lunch. Thank you for that.
I could see you liked it from the
I loved
seconds you
it.
took.
I loved it. Let's talk a little bit about that. So I saw these dishes on the Onam leaf. Are these like usually a fixed number of items that you usually have, or does that change?
So it depends from family to family on how elaborate they want to be and how festive they want to be, on you know how big you want the celebration to be. So the more you want to do, the more number of dishes you'll have on your leaf. So
Yeah.
it can go up to from 20 to 60 plus dishes. So it depends on you know how much you want to take in.
Now let's talk a little bit about you. Let's know about your background and what do you do for a living?
Okay, so I've been in the travel industry for over 30 plus years. I used to work for an airline, a large airline in the region, and of late I work for a travel technology company.
So travel, tourism, aviation happened because you were always interested in travel to be in that industry, or how did it work? Did you study travel and tourism?
I did, but it's always been a glamorous job, right? For everyone too. I mean, it's a go-to job for almost everyone after college. So it's the glamour of the industry, and I mean the want to travel, I guess, is what got me here.
Superb. So that's your profession. Now let's come to your passion that you pursue, and you like to do that to de-stress, to calm down, to relax. What is that one thing?
Painting.
Painting.
I love to paint, yeah.
Okay.
So I started off doing sketches, portraits of people, in my family and friends and things like that. And then I took kind of a long break because of, studies and work and things. But yeah, I came back to it about 10 years ago when I had more free time. So dabbled in different things, in oils, acrylics, watercolors. And now, of late, my latest passion is mural painting.
Mural painting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So mural art, what is it really?
So mural art is an age-old art form, and specific to Kerala. It's found in it's Hindu mythology, basically depicted on walls of temples, on ceilings, things like that, and it's very intricate. So that's what's interested me in that art form.
So I saw a couple of those hung around in the house.
Yes.
So you've done all of those?
Yes.
Wow.
And I'm learning from a teacher who's actually conducting workshops, and he's learned from a temple called Iyer, which is quite famous in Kerala, and he's been doing it for the last 18 years. His name is Hariharan Swastik.
So as you said, it's a more intricate form of painting. What really attracted you towards this particular form?
The fact that it's intricate and the end result, I mean, you put in a lot of effort, but the end result is beautiful. I mean, you can see the depth in the paintings. You can see how much of effort's been put in. And it's a very gratifying experience when you see that on a wall.
Right. So Preetha, tell me, in the UAE or anywhere else, have you participated in exhibitions? Have you showcased your work anywhere?
I have in a couple of, it wasn't exclusive to me, but I have put up some of my work in exhibitions.
Any future plans with this? You want to take painting to another level?
So painting has always been very therapeutic for me. So if I'm stressed out and I go dabble in some paint, I feel good about it. So I'd like to pass that on. Maybe to children or. Yeah.
So Preetha, that was some amazing piece of art that you just showed us. There were so many of these that you've been doing. Do you have a favorite amongst them?
I do. It's the one of the monk, the black one,
in
which the focus is just on the lighting. There's no detailing, but it's just that the focus is on the lighting. That's my personal favorite.
I absolutely love that too.
Thank you, Priya.
Well, thank you so much, Preetha. It's been wonderful talking to you.
You too.
Wish you all the very best in future with your colorful painting.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, then it's time to say bye-bye to you for this episode, but we're going to be back next week with lots more stories and more entertainment. Until then, keep watching Zee Connect and do keep sending us your feedback on our social media handles below. Stay safe, stay healthy. Until next week, this is me, Priya, signing off.